Cute. I don't even know what we're getting into today. It's just a developer stream. I don't know what that means. Are they just gonna yap about it? Is there gonna be some tea? Or are we just edging a little bit? I don't know. Music's getting quieter. Here we go. Oh, it's starting with a trailer. Okay, we like those. Feet! Show feet!
So Kepler's a place touched by the Nine, concealing a lot of secrets and danger.
I wish I was touched by the
Nine.
Nine.
That human scientists traveled to a long time ago to research a dormant singularity. While living on Kepler, not only did they observe the collapse, they survived it.
Okay, okay. So they have
Over
crazy
time,
technology.
The ideals of the scientific process they held to were enshrined in their culture, and they came to be known as the Ionians.
Oh.
The Elixni House of Exile arrived during the Dark Age, weary from the long trip.
I'm gonna cry, matey. I love you.
Other Elixni houses. Instead,
Oh my
they sought
God.
a new home, which they found alongside the Ionians. But the dark matter that permeates Kepler and that they converted into the ether they need to survive ended up being toxic. So when the Ionians failed to cure them, the house rose up under an archon claiming to be blessed with prophetic sight.
Hashtag blessed.
Now, the House of Exile is full of zealots. And they'll stand opposed to the Guardian as they walk the winding pathways of Kepler, learning more about what called them there in the first place. Guardian's paracausal power acts as a catalyst for the normally corrosive force of dark matter. These new powers will allow them to unlock long sealed passageways for the Ionians as they make their way to the singularity at the core of the planetoid.
Planetoid.
So from the start, we focused on building Kepler as more of a dungeon-like destination. It expands on the interconnected world design of places like the Leviathan or the Shattered Throne.
As you fight your way across Kepler, you tap into dark matter abilities and unlock enemy tech that expands your navigation and aids you in combat. These are all about going places you would normally think are out of reach.
Matterspark has you turn into this wild ball of arc energy.
How long?
It's like nothing we've done in Destiny
How lost do
before.
you guys think I'm gonna get?
The Mattermorph ability lets you twist the objects in the world around you.
With Relocator, you've essentially co-opted the Fallen's teleportation networks.
What the
and can use
hell?
it to cross gaps you wouldn't have even considered before.
It'll be the small tells, an open vent, a broken window, things you want to remember because you might be revisiting them later.
Abilities can be upgraded, so as you unlock new perks, you can chain them into your build crafting in clever ways.
The
By
urge
far
to
the most
pause.
game-changing is one of Matterspark's upgrades. On Kepler, it lets you turn into Matterspark the same way you'd summon a sparrow, wherever and whenever. It will optimize not only exploration, but also combat on future playthroughs in super creative ways. There are tons of cool combinations. You can suspend an enemy with Mattermorph, bend a path up toward the sky, and then in mid-air, leap into Matterspark.
Where's
to
the
dash
guy to
across
do the
arena and
shoo,
arc
shoo?
chain a group of enemies.
You know what I'm saying?
The team
Where-
has already
where's he?
seen players pairing abilities with different exotic perks and aspects to create some really crazy builds.
We know this is only the beginning and can't wait to see what happens once players get their hands on this kit.
This isn't lostness. This is advanced lostness. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna switch to YouTube so I can pause if I want to.
All right. Hello, welcome to Bungie, and welcome to our
Hi,
Destiny
Dylan.
2 Edge of Fate live stream. This will be the first live stream that we have leading into launch. Big shout out to the folks that we had on our Dev Insight video. We were just talking about Kepler, destination abilities, some of the secrets of Kepler.
Hi,
and the Aeonians, but we're
Dylan.
gonna leave
Chad,
that
I've
for a
been in
later
that
date
chair.
For you to discover. Today we're live stream that we have leading into launch. Big shout out to the folks that we had on our Dev Insight video. We were just talking about Kepler, destination abilities, some of the secrets of Kepler and the Aeonians.
so
We're going to
comfy.
leave that for a later date for you to discover. Today we're going to be talking a bunch about Sandbox. We have a bunch of core feature updates with Armor 3.0, gear tiering, some new loot for you to grind out, and a bunch of cool things to show. So without further ado, let's get to it. We have a wonderful panel of
You're cool.
developers on our couch. Some of them are
Show.
new, some of them you've seen before. But yeah, let's start out with Eric. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking, Dylan.
Yeah. For folks that maybe haven't seen you on a previous live stream where you've talked about burst weapons and all the cool ability stuff, who are you? What do you do?
Sure. I'm Eric Smith, gameplay lead on Destiny 2, and I'm excited to dive into our sandbox changes.
Awesome. Vivian, hello, hello. Welcome to the live
Is that
stream format.
his title? It
We've
looks like
seen
his
you
title
on
is different.
Vidocs from time to time, but yeah, for folks that haven't met
Said
you,
lead
we've seen you
gameplay
on our
design.
Vidocs. Who are you? What do you do?
Or lead
Yeah,
gameplay.
I'm Vivian Bex. I'm a sandbox designer on Destiny. I get the privilege of making like a lot of the toys that players get to use, you know, like weapons and stuff. Recently, I've kind of been all over the sandbox team, and I have some very exciting stuff to show today. I'm really excited.
Man. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. And last but not
I
least,
love-
end of the couch, Bjorn.
I love
Taylor
nerds.
Bjorndal. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be
Who
here.
are you? What do you do here, buddy?
Taylor Bjorndal, associate weapons designer, sandbox designer. I've also bounced around and done a lot of stuff. Excited to talk about all of the million things we changed.
Yeah, right. I think the last time we had you on the couch, we were talking grid skipper roles and things like
Yeah,
that.
it's been a bit.
I'm looking for my...
So as we're diving into this, we have quite a bit to go through in the show.
Fair.
And to start, we're actually going to be in the shooting
Found
range.
it.
We're going to have our gameplay specialist going through, showing you some of the new weapons, some of the new ability or exotics that are going to be coming. But this will be playing in the background. You'll see them tuning a couple different enemies, playing around, damage types, that kind of stuff.
I've been there.
To start with our panel, though,
I'm
let's talk
there.
Armor 3.0.
It was
Eric, if
comfy.
We can talk about like where did we start with ammo? Where was it back
Sup,
in the day?
Omar,
Where
sup,
are we
Speaker?
going? What's the high-level vision for our changes?
Yeah, so when Destiny 2 launched, we had armor in the game, but there were 3 stats. There were no mods available. And then with Shadowkeep, we hit armor 2.0, where we added
Destiny launched with only 3 stats? Or Destiny 2? Destiny 2 had 5, right?
3 additional stats for a total of 6. And armor mods as well. And this is the next evolution for the new saga of Destiny 2.
Really?
In Armor 3.0, we are adding, or we're reworking the stats.
What?
We're adding set bonuses, and we are adding gear tiers as well.
Yeah.
And the kind of the goals with Armor 3.0, so one, we want to make armor more exciting and desirable. When's the last time you saw a purple armor dropped and you were, thrilled to go pick it up and see what was inside? And then we want to rework the stats to make sure no stat is left behind, no stat feels mandatory, and give you further depth of build crafting in your armor roles, essentially.
Yeah, and then an underlying goal as well that I've seen you execute upon and the team really is approachability. There are a lot of new UI tools where you're hovering over perks, stats, all that kind of stuff. You're seeing actual percentages, you're seeing more full descriptions for things, helping newer players or returning players get reacquainted with the sandbox and Destiny.
Yeah, in this release and in coming releases, we are
Love you, Nando.
absolutely focusing on making the game easier.
Look, we got a lot of bills to pay for GCX, all right? If there are some guarantees in the streaming world, I'm going to take it.
To digest and understand what's going on. And this, looking at the shooting range here, is a great example of this.
I drank out of a shoe the other day, okay?
It's like where I can just go and see how much damage I'm doing, and test out my weapons, test out these builds, and see the actual changes that my new armor and whatnot is giving me.
Yeah, and you can load in here with a full fire team of 6 if you want to check out raid boss damage, or just come in here by yourself if you're on Discord talking to friends, shooting the stuff. So let's really quick talk about stats. This is one of the major overhauls. A couple things are leaving, a couple things are being added. Really quick, if you could get a quick scroll through some of the stats, go ahead and give us.
Yeah, so we've removed some stats. We've removed resilience. We've removed recovery.
Mobility.
Yes, and mobility. So instead, starting
And
from the top, we got
mobility.
health. Then we have melee and grenade, super, class, and then our weapon stat. So this is an entirely new suite of stats, does different things.
hell is
All of our
class?
stats now, instead of going to 100, they go to 200. So once you go above 100, you get an additional benefit put on top of the 0 to 100 benefit. And these, on the ability side, we are giving you kind of your uptime and how much energy you're getting in the 0 to 100 range. And then the 100 to 200 range, we're increasing things like damage, things like survivability, which is somewhere we never really, gone into.
What am I going to need to run for Blink?
It's going to
or like getting
really give players more tools to customize their build.
When I blink and I get my health back,
kind
that's
of
nice.
Pinpoint single, like I'm going to be this badass grenade thrower that's just doing shit tons of grenade damage.
Curse Jar, Eric.
Be more defensive or more.
There are children watching.
This, right?
Yeah, we haven't had like a weapons stat before, and it's sometimes been you'd have to like hook into the artifact to make like a true weapons build, and we've kind of pushed further into that world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we saw some questions specifically about the weapon stat and PvP. I know y'all have been balancing in the PvP, making sure this is kind of like cherry on top. It doesn't change the time to kill too much, but it's kind of like a cost balancing factor, right? If you want that extra damage, you lose out on grenades, things like that.
Sure, yeah. So if you want to go all in on weapons, like your weapons are going to be more potent than they were before, but it's at the expense of your other abilities.
Trying to balance this sandbox, especially for like a day one raid, I do not envy these poor devs. Hello? What? What'd I do? I just want to pause it. Hello? Why did it break?
First, we're going to start with the Warlock exotic in Bjorndal.
Bro, why does this happen sometimes? What do I do? I'm gonna have to just restart my computer, I guess. That's so annoying. It's like, this is Elgato, this is the wrong thing.
It's not apples to apples with
Yeah, and I think in the shooting range.
No, I'm pissed. I'm literally restarting my stream, or not stream, restarting my PC. I have a whole thingy. To make it just this little thing that I can move for my audio, and then it just breaks sometimes, and it irks me. So yeah, I'm restarting it because my audio doesn't work. Deal with it. I'm delaying the gratification of watching the stream. I'm literally edging you right now, chat. It's all on theme. Shoe stream is top 3 streams of all time. Man, my throat kind of hurt a little bit the day after. I hope I didn't get myself sick from drinking from a shoe. This coffee's pretty good, but it might be better if I dump it in a shoe first. Joke's on you, I don't even care. It's an excuse to get together. Right. Right, chat.
I may have to start switching play Warlock.
Love it. Next up, I believe we have
A little more that you have to like manually aim.
exotic, right?
Yeah. Scorch them and
Yeah, you can see him on screen. I think first
Merged as, man, I can't wait for 900.
yeah, right. Essential feel of I got my gun, I have my abilities. But
you hear today is it's not apples to apples with make sure we're not breaking PvP. That said, you know, in the first day that this comes out, the amount of hours being put into this by genius members of the community is going to dwarf what we've done. So it's a little bit scary how much change we've actually put in this. The team's worked so hard across the entire game. Everything you hear today is it's not apples to apples with the pre-Edge of Fate numbers and feel of the game.
The game is going to get broken, right?
Across the game, we have just changed so much.
it's very different. It's not really
It still took
easy
you
to
5
compare the
games?
experience of what's going to be in the next release to what people are playing right now.
But at the same time, it still feels like Destiny.
Yeah, it's that
like,
quintessential feel of I got my gun, I have my abilities, but now it's how much agency do I have in leaning into some of these things and embracing like a role-playing mechanic.
yeah.
And one of the cool things is like internally, I
think
think
I'm
the
gonna go to
most
the
common
beach
thing we
today.
say in like
It's
our
so
sandbox
hot
channel now
outside.
has just like emerged as, man, I can't wait for 900. Like the sandbox is really exciting. There's a lot of really specific builds you can do. Like if you want to be the melee guy, you can be the melee guy more than ever before, right? And it's I think we're gonna see some really crazy
Please.
stuff.
Speaking of embracing some of these different lanes, we actually have 3 new exotics coming with the Edge of Fate. Each class is going to get 1 new exotic. Each embrace a different sort of vibe or theme. And yeah, you can see them on screen. I think first we're going to start with the Warlock exotic. And Bjorndal, you have all the details.
Sure. Yeah, so first we have
Is it, like,
Enoia,
really
which
gnarly
is
out there?
Warlock exotic themed around the Hellion aspect.
What the
this
Hellion?
does is
What the
after
Helly?
your Hellion fires, after a certain amount of time, the projectile is going to shatter into a bunch of submunitions that will like seek nearby units and scorch them, and so it kind of like adds a little bit of like skill play to something that was kind of more of a passive aspect in the past.
Yeah, and I think in the shooting range we can see like it can be both a single target or a group sort of ad clear
Man.
exotic, right?
Yeah. It can kind of serve multiple roles, just kind of like amping up something that was like a trusty old tool to be something a little
Sidearms,
more
like, I mean,
that
that's
you get to,
cool.
like,
Or
manually
not
aim.
sidearms. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and you can like, because it like splits in mid-flight, you can kind of like control your spacing to like control the grouping of it. If you want to hit one target,
But, like,
you know, if you're at the right
exotics
distance, you'll hit all 5.
stress me out
And they'll
nowadays.
like burst
Like-
way earlier than before. Or if you like get way back, you can just blanket a region.
Love it. Yeah, and we can see on the screen too, like some of the looks of the exotic and the Hellion have changed.
Yeah, so like while you're using the
Like there's really nothing. The power creep with exotics goes crazy. Like it's cool, but there hasn't been an exotic in like 4 years that I've seen. And I'm like, oh my god, I have to run that. You know what I mean?
Garb is so cool. I may have to start switching play Warlock.
Love it. Next up, I believe we have Hunter on docket.
Yeah, so the Hunter exotic is Morai, which is a strand-themed exotic that's about your threaded spike and tangles, where you can basically like yo-yo a tangle from out in the field back in your hand and then throw it again. So the way this works is if you have a tangle out in the field and you throw your strand Hunter melee at it, it'll pop the tangle and then
See how hot it is outside right now.
bring one back to you that if you catch the spike, you'll get another tangle. So you can like duplicate a tangle, which works really well with a lot of Strand Hunter aspects like Whirling Maelstrom and
There's an
just, like,
extreme
where the
heat warning out today.
existing, tie in with like grappling to a tangle.
Oh, boy.
You get like even more mobility and a lot of like ad clear potential. And also it will return
Am I gonna
more
die if I go
energy
outside, chat?
when you catch it as well. So like even if you don't hit anything or you don't grab a tangle, so it helps you keep that engine going.
Yeah, you can see the strand energy attached to the threaded spike. So if you grab that, I love how we're rewarding that like perfect grab.
Yeah.
You
It's
can already hear people yelling "spin to win" as they're
Yeah.
spamming these things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean you can have 3 Beyblades out in the field at any time. Essentially, it's
And you're like zipping between the tangles with grapple. It's
Yeah.
cool as hell.
it's very strong. It's also going to be very strong with this artifact
Oh, yes.
upcoming, which we'll talk about. But
I need a bounty.
another cool
bounty farm.
tidbit about this is
Like, so you
it
wanna
will-
farm
the
some
threaded
clan
spike will
bounties?
bounce to the tangle from enemies
Later
as well.
this week?
So
Nice.
it's something that has a lot of easy use and really rewards skill at the same time.
Yeah, I think before we move on to Titans, and sorry Titans, we'll get to you in a second. Really cool exotic. I do want to talk about Gambler's Dodge. In the last TWID, we talked about a bunch of abilities changes, exotic tuning, that kind of stuff. And we saw some chatter around Gambler's Dodge. It was updated and reworked, right?
Yeah, we
What?
have reworked Gambler's Dodge. So it's the energy you get when you dodge now scales on your melee stat, but you no longer have to dodge near enemies to get that energy. So I can dodge anywhere in the game. I don't have to worry about this invisible circle that's around me to know if I'm close enough. It is going to feel more consistent. If I build into melee, it's going to feel more powerful. And
That's crazy.
there's also Taylor. You were talking about the multiple charges, right?
So if you like our bar for a lot of this stuff is if you are at 70 stat, you'll get the full refund like you used to. But if you go beyond that, you'll actually get a little bit more, which most of the time doesn't matter. But like if you're using like a Fiddy Spathe or any of the multi melee things or Stasis Shurikens, it'll go up to like 1 1/3 charges.
Good
so you can
God.
keep that going even better if you're fully invested in melee. So you have like more reasons like to
R.I.P.
invest in it. If you want more
PvP.
melees, you want them to be more damaging, then you just
Y'all
go all in
are
on that. And it'll
cooked.
still do stuff.
Like just so many shurikens,
Yeah.
just an embarrassment of shurikens.
Which is great. Like
Freeze everything in front of you. right?
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then I won't be bothering you and saying, "Don't kill this thing. Let me do
Bro,
my."
every single Bungie dev stream, like, I'm just reminded of how grateful I am that I don't main Trials help anymore. Because I just think about how much pain I would go through.
An
A hard
exotic
name to say.
Yeah.
As we get deeper into Destiny, the names get a little. Yeah, but go ahead.
It's it's an exotic themed around something that people have been asking for a long time, which is kind of the fantasy of Thor's hammer. Of I want to be able to pull my hammer back to me after I throw it. So there's like a little minigame loop here where you get a fire sprite, you pick it up, then you get a buff that lets you pull the hammer back to you. And if you pull the hammer back with good timing,
The bonk build.
it'll explode and to like solar shrapnel and hit stuff for like extra damage on the way back. Kind of like how Hammer Saw works, and I think the hammer also will damage things on the return trip too.
I mean,
so if you
Yeah.
position yourself well, you can actually like send it back through
great.
guys.
Line them up.
Back, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Oh,
wanted
choked.
to do this for
Whiffed.
a long time, but it's been kind of a scary,
Complicated.
It's definitely a
hard to
man exotic,
balance
but it's
this
like-
sort of thing where it's like it returns.
I think
all
they
your
nailed-
energy,
listen to
but
that
it
sound
also,
cue, bro. We're
you
gonna
can
be
pull it back
addicted
to
to
you at
it.
any time. So Alex, our designer, really knocked it out of the park as far as
It came out so well.
the balance and the activator and the
Performance.
Yeah, the performance.
Yeah. You were talking about the animation, right?
Yeah.
Before this.
I love the performance on this thing. We've got like this beat where it's like all this magnetic
Choked.
like handshaking. It feels so good. We actually did like a new tech thing on this where if you're like looking off to the side, we kind of move the player's hand a little bit, so you're like still kind of actually pulling the hammer. And that's like the first time we've done that with like a world object, and it's very cool. It feels really good.
Awesome.
It's super satisfying.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to be getting into some more gameplay
I
and
wanna do it.
actual activity in a minute. But before we go, I do want to ask for stats, and actually two things.
Oh, yeah,
with your
you're right. I
exotics,
feel
there are
like-
going to be gear bonuses that you can build on top of, correct? And
That
that's
could
a
just
new
be a
Armor 3.0
fragment or
feature.
something.
Yeah, so gear bonuses when a new armor set drops.
You're right. It's kind of silly that
If
it's
you
in
have
it's
two
its
or
own
more
exotic.
pieces from that armor set, you will get an additional perk. If you have 4 or more pieces from that armor set, you will get another perk on top of that. So I could take 2 pieces from one set, 2 pieces from another set, and then an exotic, and I have like more perks than I've ever had before on my Guardian, and it's really.
Yo, dog, I heard you like
enables
perks.
to expand your build crafting in new ways.
Yeah, I think
Mix and match.
we have an example of this in the build right now. If gameplay specialists could inspect an armor piece, you can see. Yeah, here's some of the destination armor bonuses that you can get.
Yeah, so at 2 pieces we have Force Converter. At 4 pieces we have a Reactive Booster. And sorry, go for it, Vivi.
Okay, I was just gonna say like so. Yeah, these are unique to the armor set itself. Something more than just like cosmetics that you might want out of these.
Gives you another reason to like go to
Right.
a specific place and pursue a specific armor set besides just fashion. Although fashion is still very
Although
important.
You can
Very
still
important.
use your armor synthesis and
yeah.
put the looks on these.
Yeah, and I mean, we also get to make perks that are like, I'm the this guy, you know, because you're investing
I'm
so heavily in
him.
the force.
I'm the
piece perk.
meme guy.
But what's really cool about this is like, I think this is going to be very cool at live when we like launch. But I think in like 2, releases or whatever, just a little bit in the future, we're going to see people go like, hey, remember that armor
Yeah.
that I
Mixing
got?
like something from 2 seasons ago
Right,
with
the
now.
2-piece perk from Kepler is really cool with whatever,
Yeah.
and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, and then the second piece of this is going to be for the stats rework. Some of the fragments are going to be reworked as well to adopt new stats or change, right?
Yeah, so fragments still can adjust your stats up or down depending on your build. And some of these, because we've deprecated some of our perks, or stats rather, some of these are new. Like
These
we're going to
unclear
have,
this
you know,
time.
some of these will have weapon stats,
Ooh,
which
woo.
never have happened before, which just opens up new build crafting avenues. We're gonna kind of wait and see how this lands, how the dust settles for all of the stat stuff before we go in and adjust these further. But yeah, I think players have a lot of different ways to build out their stats and become the grenade master, the weapon master, and whatever they want to do.
So quick shout out, Dark Slifer, Childish CG, and Snivvyland for those last 2 questions. They actually asked them ahead of time. Feel free to keep dropping questions in chat. I'm glancing down here every so often. Now it is time to move on, and let's talk about some new stuff. Vivian, you have been very excited about a new weapon archetype that is coming with the Edge of Fate. A new weapon archetype that is coming with the Edge of Fate.
Quality, cringe.
I sure am. For centuries, humanity has wondered, like, what would a legendary bow look like in the heavy slot? And today I have your answer. For Edge of Fate, we are building a crossbow. It plays like a new archetype, but it is technically a bow for the purposes of, you know, like, it's gonna fill all your bounties, that kind of stuff. Now, when we went to go make this, we knew it was a very cool fantasy, right? We want the feeling of like really drawing it back and it hitting a single target and doing a ton of damage. But we do have linear fusion rifles, right? And that's always the question, is like, what does this do that's different? What's the fun gameplay here? And we settled on,
I'm just behind a couple minutes because I paused and
when you shoot
yapped.
that big heavy bolt and it hits your target, you can just go pick it back up. So this thing theoretically is a heavy weapon with unlimited ammo. You can use the same bolt for an entire nightfall if you want. I would love to see someone do that. Go clear a dungeon without ever using anything else or whatever, you know? It's very cool. You have to put yourself in danger, you have to go grab it, but it's just such a satisfying loop to just like pull it out of some, you know, dead hive, just put it in the rail, pull it back, use the same bolt to shoot someone else. It's great.
I saw in last week
PvP
in a PvP playtest, I saw someone run the entire map with a single bolt, and they just kept it alive for minutes on end.
That was me. I'm sorry.
I can hear the PvP mains, like when you said infinite heavy ammo, they're like, excuse me?
Yeah,
but it's like, you gotta go
You
pick
gotta
that
go
thing up.
get it, So it's not free, but it is very potent.
Yeah, and in PvP, you only get the one. You got to get the headshot, and it's very funny.
Oh,
it ends
you
up
gotta
being
get
like this
headshot.
game of like keep away, where you're like, we cannot let Taylor get near this thing. Like,
So as we're going into this activity, we'll get some gameplay footage. This is a good example of the portal system that we'll be talking about next week on July 1st. Make sure to tune in. But we're going to be taking some content from just the history of Destiny, and it will be in the portal to go in and play. Power progression, we'll be talking about that next week, so stay tuned for that. Vivian, back to the heavy crossbow.
By the way,
you were talking about this being legendary, so that means random rolls, and you had mentioned bolts.
Yes, yeah. So we had a really fun opportunity when we were making this, where we go to the talent grid, and we always want to make stuff kind of like new and different. And we got to the talent grid, and we were like, this thing does not have a magazine. We cannot put magazines on this, right? And it gave us the opportunity to like really go, what would like a different magazine plug system look like?
Smells like
and so what we ended up going for is like, we have bolt types. And the bolt
What
types,
is that
instead
little creature?
of just being stats, they're going to alter
that little
the way
baby
the bolt actually
scream?
behaves out in the world.
Yeah.
So we've got, one of them is like explosive bolt, where it's gonna put in a target, it'll like beep, 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 and it'll just explode. Kind of like a grenade launcher. And then we have, my personal favorite is that we have serrated bolts. I remembered to say the shipping name this time.
Oh, you can say, yeah.
used
If
to
it
be
doesn't have
tactical.
3 names, it's not real game dev.
Yeah.
I never know when things go live. I never know. I'm like, oh, you guys know better than I do
But
the
yeah,
names.
go ahead.
But yeah, so we have serrated bolts, and you can put like the bolt in a target with serrated bolts, and you can normally draw them back out of living targets, but if you have serrated bolts, they're gonna deal damage on the exit too. And it is so satisfying to like land the final hit with the pull, and you just pull back your bolts and you get them, and they just go flying.
I'll take that back. Yeah. When you first brought this up, I was just like, that's so metal. Like,
Yeah.
gimme.
It's something.
Really quick, just on the topic of ammo, there are new ammo meters. Bjorn, we were going to talk about this in the firing range, shooting range. But we actually have
How
some
long
live
does the
gameplay where we
bow-
can see these
the
meters
bolts stay in
working
the
out.
ground?
Can you talk us through what is this new system? How does it work? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so there's been a pretty big shakeup in the way
Yeah,
that
what
ammo
about
works
shoot to
in
loot?
the game, where in the past it wasn't really anything that you had too much control over, but now it is something that you have like a lot of control over and a lot of build crafting hooks to optimize or like make your own.
Got
and it
one
almost, like,
bow
kinda
per
works
ammo
like
brick.
an ability or like a super does now, where it lives in your weapon tray. You can see there below the weapons. On kills and assists with anything.
I don't know, man. It doesn't
that'll
look like
pick
it's
up,
hitting.
and
I
then
guess
when you
this is a
hit full,
grandmaster,
the next
isn't
kill
it?
will drop you a brick of that type.
No, I didn't see a
So
champion.
there's a lot of things you can do now that you can build into to like have a lot more control over the pacing of when you're getting that.
Sweet.
And like there's a bunch of armor mods that exist now that like pretty much all the things that used to be finders or inventory now
Finders,
fit into ammo
keepers.
generation, which is like a new weapon stat. So players have a lot of different ways to kind of build around that, depending on like, you know, if you have a really ammo-hungry special weapon, then you have some options now to actually make that easier to feed.
And we'll be talking about this in depth in a future Twitter blog, so stay tuned for that, especially PvP heads. I've already seen conversation from our content creator videos going
Wid or
out.
blog or
But before
Twitter
we get out of
blog?
combat, I do want to talk about, alongside the new weapon archetype of the crossbow, we have some new weapon frames coming to the game.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So let's start with the hand cannon.
All right,
What is
yeah.
the
So we
hand
have
cannon?
the spread shot hand cannon.
Oh, right.
It's like a big, chunky,
Yeah, spread it.
beefy hand cannon that fires shotgun pellets. Very close range, but hard hitting. Can two-tap PvP. I'm a little afraid of that, but
Two tap
you
and
know,
PvP,
I'm sure
like,
it'll be great,
but it's
right?
gonna be
Yeah,
close range.
It's very limited. It's like a sidearm, like big punchy sidearm, but like even less range than a sidearm,
Oh God.
but like less precision reliant.
This thing has become my baby in
Yeah,
PvP. I
it's-
love this thing.
It's pretty great.
It's kind of like having like a sawed-off
Yeah.
that's like a primary ammo, and it is just so good if you play aggressive or you use like other abilities to hit people.
It's
or
really
just
good
want
as like a
bolt.
mixer in between other stuff.
Right, and that's exactly how I play. So I love this thing.
And second, so shout out to Sammy Cat, resident bow lover. She does full solo dungeons, HUD off, bows only. We have a new bow
Bows
frame
only.
that's going to be coming.
Yeah, so we
Ozo.
made a longbow, which is like a big, heavy war bow. Even slower draw than precisions, but more damage, and it has intrinsic overpenetration. So if you line up,
Bro,
a
just
bunch of
imagine
brawl
looking at this
and you,
these
like, hit
this
fire
perk
a full
pool
draw, it'll just go straight
like
through
Destiny
all of them
1.
in one shot.
back when like Outlaw Rampage was your god roll.
Squished a little bit. So they actually mean something now. Because if you look
Yeah.
at how much damage this bow is doing compared to like each one of those pellets in the hand cannon.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Like when like in the live game where it's like I did 20,000 damage with a shot. I was like,
Yeah,
the
it's hard to compare.
Yeah,
Right,
start to be
right.
meaningless. But for me, we've just changed so much, and I can't overstate like how. Yeah, how much has changed and how this game is I guess evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those changes are like, they go hand in hand, right? Like us changing the stats around, you know, us making new builds possible. A lot of these changes are all like, they're all going to kind of combine to create something new.
Yeah. Did you see that front shielded ogre with the? We have a new. We'll
something
talk about
new.
this next week.
Yeah.
But
Feels so
the
right
new Banes
to
are
be
incredible.
here
I'm very
with
excited
you.
for players.
Oh boy, yeah.
play with
New
them.
banes, new modifiers, all that kind of stuff. And then the final weapon we got on tap is going to be a special weapon, another burst, shoots explosives.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
It's a
So
pulse
I know a lot of people
special
are
weapon.
big fans
What
of
the
rocket-assisted
hell?
sidearms. Now we have a rocket-assisted frame pulse rifle. So that fits a similar role, but a little bit different. It's a little more ammo hungry than the sidearms. Got a bit more range and hits a bit harder. So it kind of fits in between like a fusion rifle and a sniper rifle. Also kind of fires a little bit differently than pulse rifles, which is interesting, just because like all of the
Weird.
pulse rifles have like
I don't know how I
different
feel
burst
about
delay,
that. I think I'm a
but when
boomer.
you're
I think
firing
pulse.
each pulse, they all have like the same rate of fire. So this, instead of being like the brr, it's like a bop bop bop. So it feels heavier and it's firing these like big.
I think a
slower
pulse rifle
projectiles,
sidearm or a
it
pulse
feels
rifle
chunkier.
rocket
Thank you
frame
for,
scares
doing
me.
a Dave Samuel
Yes.
impression there.
I aspire to greatness.
Yeah.
I fear
It's
no
like- it's,
man,
like,
but that
real
thing.
cool. It's real heavy, but it's also like, you know, like we said, it's like pretty ammo hungry.
That thing
One of the cool
scares
things
me.
about 900 is like we have the ammo stat. You know, you can build into that. You can eliminate that downside, and now you can see it working.
Yeah, same for the longbow too. Like there were some perks on the random rolls that you can go in, lessen the draw time. Like sure, it's still going to be a little bit slow fiery, heavy hitting, but there's a bunch of ways that you can build craft.
That's a
and do
long
these
ass
things to feel good
encounter.
for your
Is this
players.
a dungeon
or
or a
things that
strike?
care about hitting multiple targets.
Yeah, right. So as we're going through this transition, we actually have a bunch more to cover, and gear tiering has been top of mind for a lot of players ever since our reveal stream. So Eric, I'd love to dive in and just revisit what's the high-level vision statement for gear tiering and how we're getting players reinvested in some of that.
Yeah, so gear tiering enables players to look at a piece of gear at a glance and like understand how powerful it is. So you can see those kind of 5 icons or 5 little dots there. This is a 5th tier armor piece we're looking at. And the stat package or the stat pool that each piece gives is going to depend on the tier. So you can see at tier 1 is going to drop between 52 and 57 stat totals. And then at tier 5,
wants to do
you're
the subathon in
guaranteed
July. How would we do that?
Plus stat tuning, which lets you kind of add some.
Yeah,
The raid is
there were
like
a bunch
the
of folks that
18th.
were asking what are stat
DCX
bands,
is
'cause
right
in the game
after?
right now it's what is low to a
No
given
way.
player. Like 62 feels low, but an actual definition is like 58 or lower.
Yeah.
In the game now, we have UI that tells you exactly what are the stat bands for each of the tiers, so you know what you're looking for as you're trying to build a 200 or 150 or whatever you're looking for.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I love that we did this because this is the most common question I get in my clan that I answer, and I love that you can just go see it now.
Yeah, having information in a game is great. I think the biggest thing about this is that because the bands are a lot narrower, you have a much better expectation of what you're
Bands
getting like
make your
before you
dance.
even start the activity. So,
Know what I'm saying?
like I know a lot of people like you go into a master dungeon to farm some artifice armor, and you don't know if you're going to get like 55 or 70. Yeah, it's like an extremely wide range, but like that takes a lot of time and effort to get through. So now it's just like you're going into the toppest end difficulty thing to get tier 5s. You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
So
and
it's significantly more likely that when you get your drop, it's going to be something valuable. It might not be valuable to your exact build, but it will be valuable. It'll be the stats total that you want.
Yeah, yeah. Eric?
Yeah, and with the new portal system, which we'll talk about
Better
next
lock in,
week,
Dave.
you're going to have a score goal that you want to hit to get that exact armor piece, and it's like more targeted farming or more targeted. If I want to chase a certain thing, like I know what I have to do to get it, and when it drops, I know what it's going to give me as far as the total value, right?
Yeah.
And it's just much more clear and exciting. So.
And go ahead.
I really like, we're mousing over here, the armor archetype. We now like display what things are going to be high on it and what things are going to be low. And they're like a little further apart where things are going to be spikier now. And so like, if you want to really max out stats, you can just look for that, emblem. You'll know what your armor is kind of like going to be good at.
Emblem.
And it's like,
You can see that like at the your main inventory level too. So you're just like mousing over like, oh, I just got a bunch of drops. What did I get? Cool. Is it gunner? Is it grenadier?
Right.
Like
He hopes
what
it
is the
won't
thing that I
take
want?
10
You can use
years.
it as like a quick reference rather than needing to go all the way.
I need to
into
wear that
inspection
exotic
to see,
just
like,
for
the
that.
exact stats.
And the last detail on tier 5 for armor, we mentioned this in the reveal stream, but you can get to 11 energy for your armor. So it helps with build crafting. You can get more of those armor mods slotted and that kind of stuff.
it goes to 11 now.
Yeah, right.
Crank it.
It's
So
just
switching
better,
over to
yeah.
weapons, though, I would love to. We have some examples of tier 1, tier 3, and tier 5 weapons to show what is that progression looking like.
Yeah, similarly, when a weapon drops, I'm able to just glance at it and be like, oh, tier 1 weapon, it's going to have base stats, it's going to have a limited perk pool there. But then you can see at tier 3, we now have 2 enhanced traits. We have some of our columns are going to have more perk options in them. And then tier 5, so this is a tier 3. And then tier 5 is going to have even more. Like look at the options here, and so much enhancement. And we
tier
have
4 you get the enhanced weapon mods too.
right.
Yeah, kind of like how armor is like you have a much better understanding of like when I'm starting an activity, what is the expectation of the things I'm getting. This like the multi-perk and the enhanced perks kind of work for that too. So the odds of you getting that like specific god roll or multi-god roll, if you're looking for like the combo PvP, PvE weapon, are a lot higher than like in past activities
now,
where you're just getting,
man, that's
I'm gonna get one
crazy.
adept with one trait in each column.
Yeah, and we're adding a lot of depth. Like as we were hovering over those enhanced perks, they have additional things that they can do, whether it be stats or power for
so
the perk.
mean.
We're putting all of these details into the game so people know as they're getting into this depth, they can hover over these things, understand all the different stats. We'll, of course, have blog components. We'll have some guides that our players make, our creators make. We'll blast those out. But we're hoping to bring more of these sorts of things into the game to make it easier to understand. So,
Yeah, that said, if you have a great weapon drop that, dropped this season or 5 seasons ago, if it's a good roll, it's a good roll. Like it's, just because it doesn't adhere to the tier system doesn't mean it is not equal or greater value in some
yeah, there was this really funny reference that Mactix made, one of our creators, where he had this beautiful giant sword, and he's like, this is what I got today, and it has perfect rolls for a rocket launcher, et cetera, et cetera. Here's my new tier 1 weapon that doesn't really have good perks. Like, what are you going to use?
Yeah.
So to answer the question, Shadow on Blue Sky was asking, are my weapons that I have right now or armor, like, is that going to be viable in high-end content? And the answer is, of course. There are going to be a couple things in here that add incentive to try out new things, but Vivian, you had kind of framed it as a cherry on top, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like a way to, in the past, sometimes like the best way to get your path to power was like to do a lot of something. But now if you like do really hard activities as well, we're also just kind of rewarding you for the time there.
Yeah. So right at the
Talk
nine.
about
Oh, go
future
ahead.
gear stuff in relation to this.
Yeah, we will in a second, but I just wanted to touch on right at the 9. Some folks were asking, like, what do these equate to in the tier system? And when you get an adept right at the 9 weapon, both of your columns are enhanced, all that kind of stuff. Like, it looks like a tier 3. It's going to feel like a tier 3 for a while. So there is a good handshake as you're going into Edge of Fate. But yeah, the last thing for Tier 5 gear, I would like to show the cosmetic treatment that we've been doing. We showed this in the reveal stream, but Tier 5s have an awesome new shader treatment and also kill effects.
Yeah, so
Bungie.
these basically on
Jover.
the weapons, they'll come with like
Selling out for tier 5 and
shader
tier
on
3.
it, and then something almost kind of
Bigger
similar
bang
that
for
we'll
your
do
buck
Fetty
for
Confetti,
higher
but now it's like a
tiers.
specific slot where it gets a custom kill effect that only comes on the Tier 5 variant.
Yeah, and you can see with gear tiering, it's kind of learning a bunch of lessons through the years of Destiny. Like, kill effects are really cool. Players like this. Now we have a new slot for it. Players really like hollow foils as a chase in the game right now, and now we have Tier 5s where you get sort of a hollow foil style treatment.
Surprise, motherfucker!
So, it's been really cool to watch y'all develop this over time. But to your point, this actually is a good segue into the next section where we're talking about new and featured gear and our artifact. So, Eric, if you want to take the stage, What is new or featured gear?
Yeah, so our new gear, when we drop new weapons and armor for a season or for a release, that is going to get a bonus. It's going to be a little bit stronger than your other options. So on the armor side, you are going to get a damage resistance bonus per piece you have equipped, and that is, it kind of scales by gear tier. So if I have 5 tier 1 armor pieces, I'm gonna have
5 tier 1s?
5% damage resistance against
In the chat?
everything. But if I have 5 tier 5 gear pieces, I'm gonna have 15% damage versus everything. So I guess so there's something that allows
Right.
but
Something that gives you like that little bit of edge
Bungie-
to like inch out.
this
into,
Bungie
like, the
dev
highest
stream got
tier
weird,
stuff where you,
bro.
like, really need just a little bit more.
I was
health or
on
a
board
little
with
bit more
all the
damage.
tier
Yeah,
3,
speaking
like all the
damage,
armor
you
drops
can
and all
see
that
the
stuff, and then
max
it
is
got
actually
weird when Dobby
10%.
came
This
out
is
of
a
nowhere.
clarification. We invited some folks into the studio to look through all of this. The original number was 15%. It's actually 10% on your additional damage when you get all your tier 5 weapons equipped.
That's called doing the
again,
Dobby
cherry
right
on
there.
top, where it kind of gives you that edge, and also it gives you a way, kind of like in earlier releases where you walk out into the tower and you're wearing all your raid gear. You're kind of like peacocking, as y'all have framed
right.
it. And now it's,
Peacocking?
oh, hey, I have all tier 5 gear. This shows like, not only have I
Peacocking?
mastered this content, but I've earned a bunch of really cool stuff, gotten all the gear I want, and now I can carry my team through. When it comes to the new gear as well, what's the way that you identify that as a player?
That one might be my favorite.
yeah, so if you see that little kind of teal icon in the top left corner of the armor piece, that is going to that's going to tell me that it is in the new gear pool. So it's not only gear from this season or release, but it is also gear. It's like a collection of exotic pieces as well.
Yeah, if
So-
we hop into the collections really quick, there's actually a new section that's going to show, here's our featured gear. So if you have some things from previous releases, those are going to be a part of the building or build crafting as well.
Correct.
A note for any newer players or returning players, some of these things are actually like, you can go to Xur, try to grab those. You can go into Ride of the Nine. Emissary is going to have a few things like Graviton Lance. That's a great thing to pick up before this new release starts, so then you have a little bit of an edge going in.
Yeah, if y'all screenshot this, you can start hunting this stuff down right now, right?
Yeah, and we will have follow-up blogs where we're going to go line by line. I understand, like, this stream has a lot of data. It has a lot of numbers, that kind of stuff. Big lists of gear. We'll have a full bulleted list, not just in TWIDs, but in patch notes as we keep going. So I think with that, we can go into the artifact as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so the artifact this time around, we're going and we're exploring Kepler. So kind of going with that theme is we wanted this to be kind of like,
Why does it kind of look like a little guy? It looks like a little guy.
So to that end, it's
Like facing this way,
it's kind of a little longer range weapon-wise
Know what I'm saying?
than some of our recent.
It looks like a little
artifacts.
dude turned around,
One of the
like
other,
like the gingerbread
themes that we
man from
wanted to
Shrek,
get was like,
but
this is
facing
gonna be
backwards.
like me and my fire team, you know?
And
so if
he's
you're
got a hole
scouting
in his
solo,
back.
we have stuff for solo. If you're scouting as a group, we have stuff as a group. Then lastly, it's like we made this artifact like a little more weapons focused than we maybe normally do, because we wanted to kind of like highlight that kind of like, the Guardians kit, kind of down to earth, kind of like, grit thing. Some of my favorite perks in these are in the fifth column. There's that first one is Radiant Shrapnel. And this is gonna add like an additive shrapnel burst when you're killing guys when they're radiant, or when you're radiant, or they are scorched. And I actually really like that, like, we pay out scorched a little, because like sometimes you can't quite get that ignition,
So that's going to pair really well with the Warlock exotic coming out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can scorch a bunch of guys, and then you can cause them to alt burst. It's very cool. The
Scorch a
fourth
bunch of
one in
guys
this,
and cause them to
column
burst.
Also is a favorite of mine. It's Tangled Web, and this is going to suspend everyone when you generate a tangle via combat. And normally we do that effect, we reserve that effect for breaking the tangle, right? And now it's like on creation, and it leads to a very fun situation where you can just kind of walk up and take it, and you're like, thank you guys, I'll be back. And they can't do anything, and it kind of gets you there faster if you're not using like grapple grenade or something.
It works really well with the Hunter exotic.
It also works really well with the Hunter exotic. It's lots of fun.
Awesome.
Hi,
Yeah,
Jerry.
I think, so there's a question from V Ferrer ask,
The
sorry if I
Muffin Man?
pronounced that wrong, asking, are there going to be more seasonal mods? And with the
mustache
artifact,
growing,
you
let's
can see,
go.
next major update, there's going to be
Join
another
me.
row, as people know. With the featured gear, there's also going to be added exotics to that pool. And Bjorn, I believe we are also making some new seasonal mods that'll be released over time, correct?
Yeah, kind of in the same way that we did last season, where we had the like Taken theme set of weapon mods. We'll have the same thing for this release's theme. That you can find those out as they come.
Perfect. All right. Well, wow. I believe we are at the end of the stream. Thank you so much for joining us on the couch. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us during this live stream to see what we have to offer. We do have another live stream next Tuesday, July 1st, same time, same place. Different cast, sorry. I'll invite you back soon. But we're going to be talking Portal Power Progression. So what are you playing? How are you earning things? How are you getting up to these tier 5s? And also, how are you customizing your experience in the Portal with new Banes, new modifiers, all that kind of stuff? Just because this is information heavy, as I mentioned, we do have a slate of blog content that'll be coming live. We'll have a recap on Thursday. We have a standalone next Wednesday that'll talk a little bit more about gear tiering. Next Thursday, we'll also have another recap for that stream and additional sandbox information. And then we keep marching into launch with more patch note previews, gear previews, all that kind of stuff. So outside of the full suite of gear you'll be earning on Kepler, bunch of stuff to discover. So thank you so much again for joining. This has been a fun stream. And as we leave, we're going to toss you over to our good friend Fallout. He's going to be talking through a bunch of what we said today. He was one of the creators that we invited to Bungie with hands-on, so he can explain some things.
I'm not watching anymore
And
then.
we'll be collecting questions throughout
Not
the rest
giving
of the day
him
to
my
answer
view.
in the Twit. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Not giving him my view. Gross. Gross.